And welcome to the Homeboy Sports Network. Once again, my colleague Mike Johnson in the great state of Ohio. I'm Jose Gutierrez Jr., Lover J, right here in the Low Lacey, Olympia, Pacific Northwest, Washington State. And we're here. We're doing our big review of one of the most popular football shows on TV. Of course, you have Hard Knocks coming up on HBO pretty soon. But who would have thought junior college football would be such a draw? 2 to 3 year players. There's no stability in most of these programs other than the coaching staff and the community. And last chance youth. We go from East Mississippi, DC, up to Kansas with Independence. And let's get into this, Mike. Independence, Kansas, the Jayhawks state, a basketball state, recently relaxed its junior college rules and regulations to allow more out-of-state players to come in, which is attractive, and attracts players from Texas, some of the major states. Florida's in the house, California. Prior to these relaxed rules and regulations, you could only have a minimum, amount of players from out of the state of Kansas, and of course, Kansas is not known for football prominence whatsoever.
Nope.
But now the community colleges are. So what happened this season? Give us the breakdown. What happened?
So Independence was coming off a pretty good season last year. I think they won about 9 games, went to a bowl game for the first time in a long time, and expectations were high. Had some new recruits coming in, new quarterback. I think some of the receiving core and some of the skill position players, there were a couple guys that were the same, but nonetheless, just some new defensive stars that came on board. But nonetheless, the expectations were high. They got some pretty top recruits, and the season didn't unfold as they would have liked it to, winning their second game and winning 2 games. So the second game and then won the last game, and it was just not a good look for the season for a number of reasons. I think I hate to sound so cliche, but it was leadership starts at the top, and
what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?
Maybe Jason Brown, Coach Brown, wasn't the right leader for these group of kids. How about that? I'm not saying he's a bad coach, because he's had success where he's gone. I mean, his coaching style isn't what I would like, or what I would have my son want to play for a coach like that. But, it's effective. It's effective. He cares. But some of the tactics are a little bit questionable. And
what's questionable about it? Let's speak candidly.
The way he talked to some of the players, man, just the way he talked to some of the players, some of the comments that he made, calling players, dark, just some of the things kind of.
Oh, really?
Wrong. Oh, yeah.
Let me just. And Coach Brown thinks he's a brother. He probably is a brother among his Compton homeboys and stuff. He's from Compton. He wears it on his forehead, his sleeve, his chest, his butt. It's everywhere. It's on his feet. He's Compton's in the house. That's Coach Brown.
Yeah, but he's got that pass with those guys. He ain't got that pass with everybody.
Right. Well, that's the mistake a lot of my white homeboys come up with. They think, I've heard them say words you could say around maybe some guys who will let you say the words, but you can't say that around all black people and just think he's just in there. And I think I've heard that with Coach Brown, just his behavior, because just to clarify, or add on to some of the points you made, he's obviously an effective coach. He can relate to some players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But these are, what I would add here really quick, other than motivation, tactics, trying to be an example, participant in practice, which he does, he's doing a lot of talking at, and in order to talk at people and have them listen, you have to be a real commander. And the problem here, what I observed, just in my little psychological analysis here, these are young men most of them 17 to 21.
Yep.
And they're looking for an example to follow. They're looking for structure, whether they know it or not, because that's the only thing. Football is designed around structure. And Coach Brown, I just feel like he was not exemplary when it came to structure as an example of what you're supposed to be. Like he was as rowdy as some of the players. He was as wild as some of the players, sipping on scotch or whiskey, whatever it was in the middle of the interviews on the show. That's cool. But he's to me, I would have signed Coach Brown as a linebackers coach or D-line coach. He would be a position coach to me because he's the head of a whole organization. And I'll just bring up an example, and you follow up. Let me know what you think. When I saw what happened with Bobby Bruce, okay, number 30, a DB linebacker, a slash player, he has great instructors, and I want to remark about some of the teachers at that school because they're very talented and very involved, and they cared about the players and students that they taught. And for the black teacher, who was also a counselor, she wanted to one-on-one with him. Those are the kind of teachers you want.
Exactly.
When Bobby Bruce did what I've seen other players do in my days in college and stuff, he was involved with a property crime. The way he was discarded,
right,
volumes about your program. Now, I'm going to say this because I love Coach Osborne. He's one of my mentors who I've studied, Tom Osborne of Nebraska. And he had several of these situations when they started winning national titles, when they finally got over the hump. They were winning 9 games every year for 20-something years. And he started getting Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips. And, when Lawrence Phillips fouled up, Tom Osborne stuck by his player he recruited.
Mm-hmm.
As best he could, maybe against his better judgment, but he knows he's responsible for these boys in some way. And he stood by them. And to see, especially Bobby Bruce, who is very brilliant and bright, he's one of the people who needs somebody. He needs to know he matters.
Right. Yeah.
And he from what he said, he didn't feel like he mattered on the field, and that was where it mattered first for him, because that's why he was there from Florida. So the way he was sent to the bus stop with no escort, dismissed without having a meeting, the exit meeting, this speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think he probably would have deserved that. So to push back on that.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think you got to know your personnel, and you have to know how to treat people, and you can't treat everyone with a blanket. You can't treat everyone the same, even though we'd like to say everyone's got to be treated the same. Well, you can't treat everybody the same because everyone's not the same, right?
No, right.
And so you have to know who you are, but again, keeping that in mind, when you have a situation that he had right there, and you know what he did though. I will say this: he tried to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, you never know. He did say. Coach Brown did say, there's two sides to every story. You don't know really what was going on, but I think, I think he, Bobby Bruce had gotten in trouble once again, and it probably wasn't the first time, and when you have command of 200-some kids on your team, and you see stuff like that, you got to say, come on, man, I can't. Now, I understand letting him go, but I don't understand the way I don't appreciate the way he did it. How about that?
I'm with that. And one thing you ain't going to do is you ain't going to humiliate me, okay? You're not going to disrespect my position for your benefit or because of your negligence. I don't care how old you are, but that's where the leadership comes into me. And that's where I'll go back to Coach Osborne's example. If you go do some research and just see how he handled Lawrence Phillips, and Lawrence Phillips was involved with assaults on his girlfriend, a female. And so Coach Osborne decried the act, but he didn't banish or turn his back on the young man. because these people's lives matter. And, you know, I think that's like, you know what it reminds me of? Let me go here on the Homeboy Sports Network. Do you remember Transformers, the movie, the real one, the cartoon version?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so we know everybody cried when Optimus Prime died. But here's where you knew the difference between leaders. Well, you remember when Ultra Magnus was in charge?
Ah, man, that was so long ago.
Okay.
I remember the movie. I remember being in the theater watching it. That's how. I remember that.
Okay, so you haven't seen it for a long time. So the point is, Optimus Prime was the type of leader. I'll just do this quick parallel. He was the type of leader who still took the weight when the pressure was on, when it was confusing, when most people combust.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a decision-making point when Ultra Magnus was in charge, and he had like the matrix of leadership, and he was frustrated, and he couldn't direct those who were under his command, and he lost control, and he ended up losing himself. It was the difference, not that they weren't both good, because Coach Brown's good, but to me it's a matter of not being able to be the exemplary person who can calm the program, who had the respect of the program. These players were looking at him like he's cussing, and they're like, this dude ain't no more sophisticated than me.
Exactly.
You know, exactly. So it leaves me with little to respect or little to reach for.
And they didn't, and they showed up, man, and they didn't. And when things went wrong, they had little respect for him, little respect for the program, and it was they even commented on it. You know, the season's over. I'm here to, you know, the season's over. I'm just here to get my film, so I can move on to the next chapter. Yeah. So there was no cohesiveness. The players didn't care. You know, they were fending for themselves, and rightfully so. You know, because there was no leadership. But one of the things that really that showed me that this dude wasn't he's a great coach, but not a great leader, right? So one of the things that showed me that is when he fired the defensive coordinator, and then hired him back the same day.
Now you're playing with people.
So now here's what happened. So he fired him at the end of the season. Here this guy is now knowing his situation, right?
The black dude, Coach Martin?
Yeah, this guy is on campus.
With his family, with the two girls. In a dorm room, man.
In a dorm room, man.
Come on.
You are firing somebody, you know, because the season didn't go the way you thought it was going to go. And then you hire him back the next day. So, no, first, everything was going great, right?
Yeah.
And then, because they had just won the game, and then his wife commented that he was in a great mood, everything was going fine, and then he gets called in the office and he gets fired because they had a disagreement. And then the next day he's hired again. So that just goes to show me he plays more off of emotion, and he's not he doesn't have the emotional intelligence and the and the wherewithal to be a leader of a program like that and lead. He can't lead he can't lead himself, let alone lead a program of young men.
He could lead a unit of renegades from Mad Max, though. He could lead, you know, some of them wild guys in some cars in the middle of the Australian desert. I think he's that type of dude. There's not a lot of parameters and consistency and cohesiveness and structure and stability with him because precisely what you just said, that was the best coach he had.
Yeah.
And he was subverted. His whole effort was subverted in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And it had nothing to – I don't think the defense was a weak link. The offense certainly was. And speaking, you know, just for going into the technical factors of why they were pretty bad, the attitude followed suit. I was totally unimpressed with the entire quarterback unit except the third and fourth team quarterback.
Exactly. Yeah, the first two guys, no. They were just
attitude alone. Attitude alone.
Yeah, attitude alone, man. So,
Malik Henry, what a star screen. What a star screen to Megatron. Another Transformers reference. Just somebody you could not. He was just untrustworthy. You know, he was talking behind his back anytime he had an opportunity, and he was barely brought back to the team, which also brings up another factor. Jay Jones from Georgia Tech, who also seemed to be an entitled whiner. I don't like to call players whiners. I mean, is that a better word?
I don't know, man. It just wasn't the right. Put it like this: these things were not the right situations for any of these guys, man. And
well, I'm just wondering what would be for somebody.
I'll say it again. I'll say it again. Like everyone, a situation where you're gonna have someone who can lead you, right? Who can lead themselves and they can lead you. Everybody's not a number one. Everybody's not a number. Everyone wants to be a number one,
right? But you're not.
But he's not. He's not a number one guy. He's a number. I'm talking about the coach. I'm not talking about the player.
I'm following you. Glad you clarified that.
yeah. Everyone. And another great lesson when I worked at Ohio State. Gene Smith said, "I'll never forget this. I learned some good lessons there." One of the things, you know, he had a little round table, and we got to sit and we got to talk to him. You know, and one of the, say what now?
Who are you talking to?
I was talking about Gene Smith, athletic director at Ohio State.
Okay.
And one of the things he commented during this round table was, and I probably said this before, but he said, you know, everybody wants to be a number one, and everyone's not a number one, and that's okay. You don't have to be a number one. You could be a number two. You know, you could be a great lieutenant. You have to be a general. You could be a number two. The number twos are important, and they make a lot of money. so right. Yeah, not everybody's a number one, and you have to know who you are. Some people don't realize that, you know.
I love that. That's like a Norv Turner example.
Yeah, you know, he was
at the OC position. You're an OC, brother.
And great at it, man. And that's okay.
Right.
That's okay, man. That's all right. We don't all have to be number ones. And but going back to your other point, man.
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold that thought, because I got to correct this before I forget it. I don't want to call Jay Jones a whiner. What happened on the sideline, though, disgusted me as far as the leadership of the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are not the cool guy because they tried to be like everybody else. Quarterbacks, I'll say the good quarterbacks. Okay, let me draw the distinction. The good and the great quarterbacks are cool because they set the example, and they're almost like they're like oatmeal without any flavor. Like everybody can appreciate it because you can add to it. Like everybody can have that bowl. You know, everybody can have it. It doesn't have raisins already in it, so it's not going to put nobody off. Great ones don't put players off.
Right.
You know, as far as like being a force to dismantle the team. But that's exactly what these quarterbacks did, especially Malik Henry, who was offered a position behind the back of Jay Jones, who was told he was coming in to start. Right. You know, and he wasn't informed that Malik Henry was coming back as a player. He was told Malik Henry was coming back as a practice player.
Exactly.
But then, both of these were backbiters. Both of them, whenever they had an opportunity, at least with the camera caught, which the camera will not catch everything, so we can't even play like we know everything. But from what we can see, every chance they had, they were like talking, undercutting the coach, undercutting strategy, undercutting the teammates. Terrible.
Because they didn't have any respect for the guy. Because they looked at that dude like, this guy doesn't know more than I do. It's like, he may be the coach, but look at the way he acts. Look at the way he talks. You know, he doesn't really know. You know what I mean? So he didn't command that level of respect. And then it trickled all the way down.
Right.
And, yeah, man. So that's the bottom line on that. So I want to go back to something you said earlier.
Okay, go ahead.
Was when you talked about the exceptions that were made from the state of Kansas to have outside players come to the school. Like, how did you feel about when they were interviewing some of the townspeople about how they felt about the program.
What aspect? The townspeople had been for the last 2 seasons so excited and reinvigorated about the prospects of their college being significant again in football, or significant at all in football.
So
tell me what part you're thinking of.
I'm talking about how
having all these black players around, or what?
Well, no, not necessarily that. How they were a little envious of the money that was being
I
spent.
did see that. No, okay, go
on the school.
Yeah.
And how it could have been, they thought that it could have been used elsewhere. I don't know, elsewhere in the community or elsewhere, or they also thought, it seemed like they were a little resentful that it wasn't helping the people of Kansas.
Right.
And it was going to kids outside of Kansas, and it sounded like, why are we helping these other people out when we can't help? So it just reminded me of, I guess maybe not to get too political, but so it just reminded me of kind of I don't even know what the right word this is. We can't take care of ourselves. We need help here. Why are we taking care of somebody else?
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
And it dawned on me, like, we're still we're still here. It's not like they're foreign. Not even not saying it's not like they're still they still live here in the United States. So it just shocked me how they were.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Here's I see what you're saying. Like, we're all in the U.S., so we share this space, but I don't agree with that, because there's regions in the country where I don't want you coming from that region. Don't come running from your region, because you're not going to fix the problems of Philadelphia. I don't want you bringing Philadelphia problems to Washington State. Okay?
Right.
I don't want you bringing the decay of Detroit with you to my state. But part of that is, one, your first point is more prevalent than anything. We're all U.S. citizens, so we can go where the hell we want. But your job as a resident is to have a welcoming committee, is to say, welcome to Independence, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what our town values. Neowalla, their Halloween celebration. We value family. We value hard work. So you got to ingratiate visitors, because otherwise they're going to bring Bobby Bruce's problems of theft to college, which is, I don't know how common that is there, but it's a small, tiny town. So I feel the protectionism, because you don't want,
protectionism.
Well, you don't want, if you have a nice community, and I just saw this on another Netflix show. It was called Black and Privileged, and it was about a black neighborhood, Inglewood in Chicago, and there was a bunch of people coming from the projects of Chicago, and the black people of Inglewood were like, we don't want that coming here. We don't want the element of that. So what you do, and people, we're often so afraid. This is important. A great question, and that was just my suggestion in putting out a possible solution or way to address that, is you have to welcome people and allow them to understand, that they're welcome, but also allow them to understand your community values.
Right.
And the problem with that is a lot of communities do not have values, or do not pronounce them, or do not have control of them. So there's like it's a free-for-all. And Independence was not a free-for-all. It's a small town. I respect what they're saying, because they want Independence and Kansans to be able to go to school there. However, they needed the issue here to provide some balances. They need these football players, because the football players were providing a major portion of the student body. And also, what I didn't know is these football players, I think all but a handful, have to pay tuition.
Right.
It's not any scholarships. I thought these JCs and CCs were giving out scholarships, and no. So they're really benefiting partially. The school is, at least. The town is suffering.
Yeah, the town is suffering. It's been suffering. Like, if you look at it, it looks like Independence, Kansas looks like a lot of places across the Midwest.
Yeah.
Small towns that were once booming. Well, I wouldn't say booming, but, they were okay, and for whatever reason.
Industry, people stay there.
Yeah, things change. Society evolves. Industries evolve, and, they couldn't keep up, and some of the things that you wanted to do then, or that you were able to do then, you're not able to do now. And, some cities aren't able to adapt. And I don't know if it's through fault of their own or what have you. But there's a lot of cities across the United States that look like Independence, Kansas, believe it or not, man. I've seen them. There's a lot here in Ohio. There are a lot in West Virginia. There's a lot of small towns that are just like that don't really have a lot going on. So all of a sudden you see, $700,000 being spent on a football field, and you wonder, well, wait a minute, the downtown looks like shit. I don't even know what that could have done.
Right.
I don't care how much money you pour into the Independence.
Right.
It's not going to help. Because you don't have a what's your cash crop, so to speak? You know what I mean? What's your industry? So I just found that odd that they were resentful. I think they were more resentful of their situation, I think, than they were of the players in the school. I think that's probably what it was.
I think so too. I don't even know if it's they're resentful of their situation. I think they're seeing the world intentionally passing them by, and without giving a damn. People look at places like Independence, Kansas, and other small towns, especially in our breadbasket of the United States, which is the Midwest and the country areas where our farms are. And people take these for granted, especially smaller towns like that where the farmers are your friend, your neighbor, your cousin, people who are, these are the main employers. Like people you could touch everybody. So then, if you have a corporate farm coming in the next state over, people are going to shop from them because they can offer a lower price, and that'll put you out of business. And this is what I think that town is dealing with, amongst other things. The young defensive lineman, I can't recall his name, but his dad. His dad was reflecting throughout the series about, what he hoped for his son, and he wanted his son to go away. Go do something out of here, man. Get out of here and go see something else, because the town is like dying. And so when you look at that football program, now we get to the economics of sports, the business of sports. If we're going to put 6 figures into a junior college program, we need a dividend on that.
Exactly. Now, I think
now you're losing. Okay, go ahead.
I think it would have been different if first of all, winning was a great deodorant, right? So they had been winning the past couple of years, so all these losses, were overlooked. But if he was a different type of person, if he was a different type of coach, I don't think you would have seen that resentment of the program than what you saw.
Yeah. Well, he certainly, when you're desperate, you'll take anything. We've seen that. Look at Louisville's football program, and look who they took back at one point, Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
But look at that. He's a duplicitous man. He jumped from 10 to 10 to 10. It was a scandal everywhere he left.
Right.
And they were like, we remember when we were good with you, man. Let's ride him out again. It's like, okay, now you're showing how desperate you are.
Right.
And so Coach Brown reinvigorated the whole program with his energy, but that's not sustainable. That type of energy without growth was not sustainable. And, that's the difference between a Bobby Knight and a Coach Brown, who both are brash, both have major attitude. But Coach Knight commands respect in a whole different way, which I can't observe as a witness, but I can tell based on how his players regard him. You know, it's a different sport too, but it's across the board. These characteristics they are what they are on and off the court and the field. So I just the looseness. He did not match the values of any city in Kansas. I don't even know if Kansas City would be cool.
Yeah, that dude did not match the values. I see what you're saying, though. Yeah, and I think if you ingratiate people and you're friendly to people and you welcome them in, the 9 times out of 10 they'll return the favor, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
and when you say that, it makes me think. I thought really quick, Mike, about how Coach Brown throughout the season was also in what psychologists and mental health professionals call, he was in the victim stance. He was the victim of everything. People don't understand how I am. This is how I am, and people who don't get me will F it. You know what I mean? He was always the fall guy in every scenario, and it's like, well, you're really not. Actually, you could stay here for 5 more years. You could have, but he...
Another thing is telling, a person, you can tell he's not going to evolve. He says, I am who I am, and I'm probably not going to change.
Right.
Well, then there you go. Yeah, no. Anyone who tells you that is not willing to evolve and is not willing to say, self-reflect and say, you know what? It didn't work out how I am. It didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out. What can I do to get better? What can I do?
Right.
Yeah, hey, man, this was his, and I am who I am. I ain't going to change, man. You can like it or love it. You can love it or leave it.
No, you said it right the first time. That's the attitude. You can like it or love it. But that's all I'll accept. That's all you'd accept. That's a good sign for everybody tuned in any kind of relationship, love, romance and stuff. That's a good sign to get the hell out.
Yeah.
People who say, you can like it or love it. Because I ain't changing.
Yeah, I ain't changing. Well, then there you go. Yeah.
There it is. He's telling you.
He didn't change. He definitely did not change. And he found himself in some hot water. And now he's no longer the coach at Independence.
So what were the grounds of his being released?
Oh, well, it was making derogatory. I don't know if the player was Jewish or German.
Oh, the Hitler comment.
The Hitler comment. This is shit you just ought to know better. You can't say that, man.
Well, and he said it on video. I mean,
he said it in text, man.
I think they destroyed Adolf Hitler's name. I've never heard another person named Hitler ever again.
Yeah.
So, if you gonna say it in some educational reference. Cause didn't he call the boy? Did he call the coach? Was it the coach?
No, it was a player. It was a player.
I think it was a German kid.
He was a player who was a walk-on or what have you. And there you go, man. That dude, that player. See how you treat people. That's how you treat people. Yeah, because
sloppy,
immature. Who knows if that guy, what kind of relationship they really had, or was it joking or was it not? Who knows? But see how you treat people. It comes back. It catches up to you when it catches up to you, and it caught up to him.
What's Coach Cooper's?
Yeah, it don't catch up to you until it catches up to you.
There it is. Let's summarize the season. Why don't you go ahead and summarize the season?
Summarize the season.
Yeah, do the final review of the show for our listeners.
Oh, the show was great, man. It was unfortunate what happened to the team. You could tell that. You could just tell that the team was fell apart when they started losing, and that was strictly because of the leader they had up top, and kids were out for self, and that's So if I had to summarize it, like I said earlier, not everyone's number one. That being the coach, not everybody can lead. And they can catch up to you till it catches up to you. So that's how I would summarize that season.
No doubt. I would just say in summation of this season, it's another great series of lessons available in Last Chance U. And this is what I kind of take away. The personalities, I love Coach Brown's personality. I think it belongs in a certain place in a football program because he needs to be reined in. Coach Brown needs to be mentored still. And we all, there's no age limit on needing a mentor, somebody who can help you improve. But, then you got to be willing to be mentored. You got to be willing to be a protege. So I don't know if that's in him. But I will say some of the things to take away from this as a viewer, which I hope people get into this program, and especially season 4, I love the educators. I love the educators and their efforts with the students, with the defensive end. I think his name was Kylan. They're challenging. They were the main challengers of the young men.
Right.
But also a couple coaches. I think Coach Kiyoshi, I think he did okay sometimes. But Coach Martin kept things in perspective. This man is struggling and making progress personally with his wife and 2 daughters in a dorm room in middle of Kansas. I respect that. He's really he's going to, hopefully this will be a chapter in a greater story of his life because I appreciate that. What's that?
That dude loves the game.
Yeah, he loves the game. And what I'd also say is this is the lesson of Last Chance U. And also let me say what's up to my music students. The white kid with the glasses, he made music the last season, and he made music this season, and much respect to him. Props. He's a talented musician. Did you check him out? Did you see him?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I was impressed with him, just his determination. He wants to get out of independence, so I hope he gets up out of there, man. He composed some cool music. But I would say the main takeaway for me for the whole season is this is an example of why boys need men.
Right.
Not just males. Boys need men. Not just moms either. And I love my mom. She basically raised me as a single mother. And I know many of my homeboys, too, have mothers like that. Amazing women who are doing the job of 2 parents. But when you have these young men who are out here far away from home, needing structure, ambitious, without focus, this is why you need men.
It's a good point, man. It's a good point. I couldn't agree with you more on that sentiment. So, but folks, check it out, man. It's a good season. You can binge watch it in a couple of days, and it's good TV. I will say that it definitely is good TV. It's compelling TV.
I know it's late over there in Ohio. I know you got other research to do, other assignments on the desk. So once again, like and subscribe to the page, okay? And for Homeboy Sports Network, of course, Mike Johnson, my colleague over there in Ohio.
All right, folks.
And Jose Gutierrez, we're up out of here. Peace.
Be easy.
Put him on his back and let him know what's happening.